Hey, hello, and welcome. Hello, hello, hello. I cannot believe that people are still asking me what happened to the Shadow Slave videos. I have talked about this, I have posted about this, I say it in videos, I said it in the last video I posted, I think. I left it in, so it's like people will stop asking me. There are literally answers everywhere if you just tried. I stopped making them because I didn't want to get sued by Web Novel, who Guilty 3 spoke to on my behalf. So I stopped. I stopped, and now I post my thoughts on every Shadow Slave chapter on my Discord server. So there is the only ever place you can find anything that connects me with Shadow Slave in the future. Everything else is gone. Rest in peace. I'm sad about it still. And I noticed that many people are, but we have moved the fuck on from this. It's over. Hello! Now we're doing a soldier's life instead. And this is literally the third novel I've read since Shadow Slave. People are still asking what happened. I'm amazed. Maybe I shouldn't be at this point, but it's like the longer it goes, I'm more amazed each time. What the actual fuck? But we are here now reading A Soldier's Life. But yesterday I uploaded a new type of video on my channel that some have seen at least. And maybe some. It felt like the first video that I actually uploaded that isn't streamed, but that's not true because I did my song covers and they were not streamed, but they're like songs, so it doesn't count. This was like a video. But it was fun. I liked making it. I hope you liked it as well. I did a lore video on League of Legends and I will continue down the line. So next one will be Aatrox's short story. And I thought it was fun. A little bit different, but also just me reading, technically, so it's not that different. Because I felt like reading League of Legends lore on stream isn't as fun because it's not too much. Sure, I can comment about it, make funny jokes about it, right? But I feel like it makes more sense to do it in. I don't want to say a serious mood because it wasn't serious, but I guess more serious than everything else that I do. But yeah, I thought it was fun making something new, and I will continue as long as I have the motivation. And right now I do. But I also have ADD, so who knows, maybe it'll disappear. very fast, but fuck it. We will see what happens. But now we're gonna read A Soldier's Life instead, which are the novel we're reading now. Now, not Shadow Slave. So I will start properly. We'll do just a short little recap, a few sentences, right? Because we need a start to the video, don't we? Last time on A Soldier's Life, Eryk has started patrolling the city with his friends. But he becomes a heartless killing machine and starts collecting essences from humans, dwarves, elves, whatever corpse he can get his hands on. And Castile starts suspecting him of theft, maybe? Question mark? She just seems highly suspect of everything that Eryk does nowadays. But Eryk earns a cool nickname, a Latin nickname, which I cannot remember. It was something about him killing anyway. So we're just accepting now, and Eryk is also very much accepting, that he does not care about corpses, murder, killing people, anything. So, yeah. And now I don't remember what they're gonna do. Right, they were chasing some people down the sewers, and Eryk is like, I'm not going in there. And now there's gonna be a battle, I assume, because the enemy is starting to come to Eryk's turf. So we will see how that one goes. More murders for Eryk, I would assume. But we shall see. In the next chapter, as fast as I have everything on screen so that I can see. There we go. Oh. Chapter 41. Discipline. The lower city bats had a number of regulars and civilians. As I entered, they eyed my bloody legionnaire armor and clothes curiously. There was only a large communal shower here, no hot soaking tubs. The young attendant approached me. 3 copper for a rinse and 7 to wash your armor and clothes, he informed me. Do you have any soaking tubs? I asked, quickly glancing over the array of naked men showering. And we're back. Sorry, Legionnaire. We only have 2 private tubs, and both are in use. Everyone... Cleos! Thank you so much for the sub! Thank you and welcome. Hello! Thank you, I appreciate it. Welcome back, we're back. Hope you had a nice summer as well. A break, maybe, hopefully. And JP has arrived as well. Thank you. Hello, both of you. Oh, now I have to yawn. No. Okay. I got too excited. Bah. Sorry, Legionnaire. We only have 2 private tubs, and both are in use. Everyone is here because the water rationing will start soon, the young boy said. I nodded and stripped down. In front of him, I handed him 2 large coppers. Okay, in front of him. Please make a double efforts on the cleaning. Do you have oil for the leather? Yes, Legionnaire. I will take care of it. He snatched the coins and bundled my gear and clothes together. I went to reach for one of the scrubbers and used soaps, but the boy said, Wait, I will get you a new scrubber and block. The boy moved my things to a back room and returned with an abrasive brush and a new block of hard soap. The brush was not new, just clean. The ones on the communal shelf I had been about to grab had small growths of black mold. Oh, fy helvete! Oh, that's so disgusting. Well, you will not. I feel like you wouldn't get much cleaner if you are cleaning yourself with mold. Ooh. Or using a communal fucking brush in general, but mold. Too much. I gratefully took the clean abrasive brush and the new bar of soap. This bar was free of prior user's hair embedded on it. The next time I used the common baths, I was bringing my own soap. Yes. And brush. I moved to an open shower. I was taller than most men. Brag. The average height of men in the Empire was around 5'7", and at almost 6'1", I towered over the men around me. My shoulders were square from my training. The men moved aside as I walked to an open spigot. Spigot? The soldiers around me were muscled but lean. I began to scrub. A regular with short black hair to my right asked, We heard the portal mage was killed. Is it true, Legionnaire? It is. This blood I'm cleaning off me is from the cleanup. We got about half the infiltrators, but some remain in the city, I replied without thinking. I realized I should have restrained myself from giving too much information. The displacement mage had been under the protection of Legion men, so it was a failure on our part to protect him. The guard on my other side grunted hoarsely. They will begin rationing at the next meal, trust me. So soon? I heard the Bardi Radiants are still a week away. We can still get shipments along the road, the guard on the other side added. Unlikely. The men in the east tower at the Trader's Gate say their Griffin Rider's scout can already be seen, the gruff guard replied. I knew we expected the army in about 3 days, but I remained silent and listened to the soldiers' banter. The west gate is packed with those with enough sense to flee, another soldier offered. We have been searching the wagons and confiscating half their food. A guard on the other side asked, The general is allowing that? He is paying them a few silver, but he ordered it done. I am more concerned that the entire staff of the Summer's Flowers has left. Summer's Flowers? Don't think we've heard about them. Best brothel in the city. Oh. Okay, I was like, that's so weird. Sure, it's a brothel. Another man griped. You mean the only one you can afford, barked another man, who then had to dodge a scrub brush. With mold. The conversation devolved into what constituted a good brothel. I finished scrubbing. My clothes were not finished, so I went and sat in another room with cold stone benches to air dry. The young boy who had washed my clothes handed me a towel and apologized. We are no longer burning wood to heat this room and the water. Give me another hour to finish cleaning your clothes and armor. An hour sitting in the cold naked? Fuck no, bro. Well, he has a towel, I guess, but still. He rushed away and I waited. I heard the echo of conversation from the showers, but ignored it. When my clothes and gear were brought, I tipped the boy another large copper for his effort. He had wrung out my clothes, but they were still damp. I made my way to the villa. It seemed the city had accepted its inevitable fate. Several civilians were leaving through the west gate with large packs on their backs. Without the portal mage, resupplying the soldiers was going to be impossible. Constantine had said when they surrounded the city, they would have set up a magic array that would have prevented the portal stones from working, but it seemed they couldn't wait. Judging by the tension at mounting fear in the city, the Bardaradians' assassination of the displacement mage had done more than just cut us off from the Empire. The city guards at the entrance to the upper city had been doubled. I reached the villa to find a flurry of activity. The company was hauling in casks of water and food from the citadel nearby. I approached and asked, "What's happening?" Matteo answered, wheeling a cask into the villa. "The citadel guard is being moved to the upper city by order of the Baron's advisor to protect the residences of the nobility from inevitable looting. They abandoned their barracks in the citadel, and Lurkin told us to grab everything we could before they realized they needed it." He laughed, wheeling the wine cask inside. Because we do need wine. Was this an every person for themselves siege? I didn't think we'd last long if it turned out that way. I went to my room to drop off my gear and started helping everyone. Our villa was in the orchards and gardens adjacent to the citadel, which was the central fortification of the city. It was also the residence of the count who ruled the city and where he housed his royal guards. The last count was dead, and now an interim baron was running the city. It was my understanding that the baron left the city to join the army, which was now going to rescue the city and wipe out all the Bardaradians sieging it. Sieging. No, I'm not gonna overthink this. Sieging it. It all sounded extremely complicated and would make a great tragic play, but I would have preferred not to live through it. I dropped my gear in my room, stripped my armor, and went to help. The citadel was only 100 yards from our villa, and I went into a heavy oak door in the fortification. I followed everyone else down into their storage room. It was massive, easily 100 feet long and 40 feet wide. The stone shelving was polished, and hundreds of crates, bags, and casks lined the series of shelving. Large glowstones in the ceiling lit up space. Willie elbowed me softly. "Come on, Eryk. We need to grab as much as we can before they realize." I picked up a 60-pound sack labeled as flour and walked back to the villa. The line of men carrying and pushing foodstuffs had stopped outside the villa. Castile and the company leaders had returned from the baths and were staring at us. Delmar spoke for the group. "Just what in a demon's asshole do you think you're all doing?" His voice started soft, but gradually increased into a scream. We were a bunch of kids with their hands in the cookie jar. Regis, at the front of the line, spoke first. Larkin said to grab what we could. It did not sound very convincing. Castile looked over the line, made eye contact with each person, and then went inside the villa, not saying anything. Oof. Castile isn't mad, she's just disappointed. A quick conference between Delmar and Adrian, and then Delmar spoke. "Bring it inside, but no more trips unless ordered." I walked into the kitchen to bring the flour down to the larder. Castile was talking with Larkin in the corner of the kitchen. I didn't linger to overhear and went and deposited the flour and then retreated to my room. I secured the room and tried to study my healing spell form book, but fatigue overtook me, and I fell asleep with the book in my lap. A loud banging on the door woke me. "Eryk, food. Dress for patrol." The voice belonged to Constantine. I suited up and met everyone in the large dining room as we did the nightly ritual. The food was a dense bread with a thick stew, which was mostly meat with a few purple potatoes. Purple potatoes? As we ate, Castile climbed up on the table, surprising all of us as she paced its length, obviously unhappy. Okay, now she's mad. I had never seen her angry, so maybe she was angry. After walking 2 lengths, she spoke. We are in Jupiter's shitstorm, the heart of it. You know I appreciate the initiative, but this stupidity can get everyone killed. The lower city is as tight as a witch's arse, and the looting will begin tonight. Keeping order is going to be a full-time occupation for the city guards and army. Then I come here and find my own men looting the citadel for food. Okay, she was definitely angry, and I was not the only one shocked. She paused in the complete silence and calmed. Not only did I already secure enough food for us to make it through the month, but the citadel guards could have attacked and killed one of you, with just cause. She paced the table. Lurkin, you are relieved of cooking duties. No! Lysander will take over. The whole table groaned. I had often been informed that Lurkin was the only decent cook among our number. Castile stopped the groans with a hard stare and continued. The regulars will be on guard at the sewer entrances. We are not going into the sewers to find the Barty-Radians. No one cheered because the atmosphere prophesied a butt. We will be continuing our night patrol of the upper city, and until the army comes to siege the city, you will each also be patrolling the lower city for 5 hours during the day. Okay, so no sleep, I assume. She began pacing again and announced, no one leaves the villa without permission, and no one travels alone in the city starting now. We believe maybe 20 Barty-Radians survived the attack on the displacement mage. Some were injured, but the signs we found in the sewer indicate that they have a healer and powerful air mage amongst them. Those who witnessed the carnage saw what the air mage could do to a body. We believe, she spun to look everyone in the eye, they will try to kill the other 2 Legion mages in the city. She was referring to herself and Gregor. She continued. Constantine believes they will act with caution and work to thin our company before attacking me directly. Ew. What happened to the girl, by the way? Our love interest, what happened to her? The young one who was with the other air mage we met. Or was it an earth mage? I can't remember. The mage anyway that was like, take her. She was with us when we took the griffin egg. Then maybe we left her when we came into the... Maybe she went back to her mage when we returned... When we came back? I don't remember what happened to her. I don't even remember her name. But I miss her. She liked us. She let that sink in before she stepped gracefully off the table, onto a chair and then the floor and walked away. Adrian announced patrol groups and their routes through the city. Eryk, Brutus, Matteo, and Willie, you have Veritas Street from the main road to the west gate. My confusion could not be hidden. I interrupted Adrian saying, I don't understand. Who is in charge of our group? It's probably you. Right, because you took on a leader role last time, remember? Adrian smirked and looked me in the eye. His dark brown eyes glinted with mirth. You are. When a group is announced, the leader is the first person mentioned. We think you can handle it. Damn it. I looked at the 3 men around me. I guess under my command. Brutus and Willie had huge grins on. Matteo looked bored. I processed, then ordered. I want everyone equipped with a short sword, buckler, dagger, and spear. Bring a small canteen of water only. I pointed at Matteo, knowing he liked to mix a little alcohol in to give his water flavor. To give his water flavor? Sure. Be back here in 15 minutes. After 3 weeks in the company, I was already being given responsibility beyond carrying around potions. Well, took it upon yourself last time. Chapter 42. Growing Pains. While my squad went to gear up, Constantine approached me. He seemed about to impart some wisdom, but instead I blurted out, Why me? He arched his eyebrows in amusement. Eryk, you've proven yourself capable multiple times. In the dungeon, surviving Durandus, in the basement against the Barbaradians, and then directing the men during the sewer exploration. I've only been with Castile for a few weeks. Everyone has logged more time than me, I argued. Eryk, you're in charge of just 3 men on our safest patrol route. We are giving you the easiest, most docile pony to ride. If you fall off, then Castile can minimize her losses, Constantine explained. Now keep 2 healing salves and 2 minor potions in your space. Everything else is coming out. When you get back from patrol, see Delmar and you can store them again. I removed the potion racks, took out the 4 items, and put them back into my space. Constantine then shared his expected advice. Stick to the main street and never split the group. Keep all 4 of you together at all times. Most of the buildings in your area are abandoned and empty, and the regulars should have swept them all during the day, so don't expect much action. If you find anyone out past curfew, just question them and angrily order them home. A legionnaire yelling at them is usually enough to spur him into action. As Constantine began to walk away, he muttered, "Although you did fall off your first horse." Damn, Constantine, no! That is true. Matteo and Willie arrived together, followed by Brutus. He headed down through the orchards and past the checkpoints. The city guardsmen were tense, aware that this would be the first night the city knew the Barbaradians' army was on the march. On the main thoroughfare, I commanded, "Brutus to the front. You're best with the spear. Matteo, to the left because you are right-handed. Willie, you're on the right because you think you always are." He sounds like a fucking asshole leader already. I will be in the back, diamond formation, a spear's length apart. Willie retorted, "If you can name one time I was wrong, you can have the last of my griffin jerky, Eryk." Matteo laughed loudly. "Oh, let me count the times." "Matteo, come on, we're friends. No helping the new pack leader here," Willie pleaded jokingly. "Give me the jerky and I won't help him," Matteo laughed. But Willie pulled a wrapped bundle from under his chest piece, took a piece for himself, and tossed it to Matteo. The bag was passed around the 4 of us until it was empty. The griffin jerky was one of the best things I had eaten since arriving in the world of Desia. How nice. We reached Veritas Street as the sun was setting, and I surveyed the cityscape. Let's head down and stay in the middle of the street. The curfew required everyone to be indoors after sunset. As we walked, civilians hurried home, most carrying bundles with them. Only every other oil street lamp had been lit as a way to ration the oil. At sunset, we began stopping people and questioning them. I found myself doing the same thing Constantine had done when he trained me, asking the men questions after each encounter. It was a good way to discover something I may have missed. At the west gate, 7 city guardsmen were stationed at the barred city entry point. They could also see us walking the entire route, so if we got into trouble, they could help. I really was on the kiddie patrol route, and I had no trouble with that at all. I remained in the back all night, but cycled the other 3. After a while, checking behind me every 30 steps became a habit. Sometimes I checked it in between as well to make it appear random. That was one thing Constantine had repeatedly said. On patrol, do not be predictable. To go along with that, we did not walk the length of the road back and forth, but sometimes turned around and headed back. On one such quick turn, we caught a man rushing across the street. Willie sprinted after him and caught him before he reached an alley, since he was burdened with a heavy load. It appeared he had a bag heavy with silver cutlery, candlesticks, and 2 mirrors. The mirrors shattered when Willie tackled him. He was definitely a thief, and we dragged him to the guards at the tower to handle him. That was the only real excitement for my first night as a patrol leader. As the crack of dawn appeared above the city walls, we headed back to the villa. We had slightly burnt bread and watery oatmeal filled with candied fruit in the kitchen. The whole company was suffering. Willie chirped, "I hope not all the cart vendors fled the city. If they did, I'm going to starve." He still forced down the food, lathering the bread in a 1/4 inch of butter. It wasn't Lysander's fault. The only thing he knew how to do well was boil and mash potatoes. It was an apt punishment for looting the stores of the Citadel. Have you read ReZero before or heard anything about it? I have not read ReZero, but I've watched the anime. Not fully. I've watched the first season at least. I should have. I think I'm on season 2. I watched a bit, but not enough. I want to watch more at some point. But I really like it. What I've seen, I like. Very good. Adrian gave me all the potions so I could store them in my space to extend their shelf life. I would have to pull them again before the squads went on night patrol. Adrian said Castile's squad found 2 of the Barbaradians hiding in an attic. Both were killed by Castile and the men with her. But if they had all split up into pairs, it was going to make finding them all extremely difficult. It was obvious Castile wanted the threat of the air mage to be dealt with soon. The lower city patrol was another part of our punishment, but it was not as bad as it sounded. Each unit had to make a zigzag trip through the lower city, about a 4-mile route. After being on our feet all night, it wouldn't be too much fun, but it would only take about 2 hours. I volunteered my squad for the first route. Matteo grumbled discontentment, but it would allow us to get continuous sleep and edible food in the city for the rest of the day. The patrol went quickly, and we got mystery meat pies from a vendor. Brutus was sure it was horse meat, but Matteo argued it was a rat. Oh no, not the rats. Since the chunks of meat were so large, I ruled in favor of Brutus. Yes, please. But no, also no. Wait, no, horse meat, no. Neither. But no, yeah. It was still better than what Lysander was preparing for lunch. I actually thought it was a conspiracy, as there was no way someone could be that bad at cooking. Matteo warned me not to complain, or I would end up helping Lysander do the cooking. When we got back, I reported to Delmar so he could send the next squad out, then retreated to my room and secured the door. I got comfortable on my bed and pulled out my 4 essences. It had been long enough that I could assimilate another one. Right, we have stored essences still. They felt solid in my hands as I rolled them. I had the large one, which was an affinity for one of the magics. The dark purple major essence of strength, and 2 minor essences, 1 dexterity and 1 power. I knew I was going to try the magic affinity essence even before I pulled them all out. I sent the other 3 back and held the ball. Black and gray swirls flowed around the surface of the brown ball, giving the ball life and emitting a strong glow. Holding it, I could feel the power within, yearning to be consumed. I dropped it into my mouth and felt a warmth spread from the ball throughout my body. At first, it was euphoric, but then my muscles spasmed. I rolled into the fetal position and shoved my griffin feather pillow into my face as I started screaming in real pain. Wow, okay. It felt like I was being pulled apart. No, something was trying to fill me. I can't say it like this. And there was no room. So it was making room. Eryk, no! Oh, this is so sad. Poor Eryk. Holy shit. Oh my god. I swore violently into the pillow as my body started sweating uncontrollably. My muscles clenched, and it was too painful to move. Oh, I can't breathe. My god. I was helpless as I tried to ride out whatever was happening. I thought about screaming for help, but kept the pillow over my face. I was feeling fairly certain my heart would explode, as I could hear it pounding in my ears as at a tempo well beyond a safe limit. Whew. My bladder released without me being able to hold back. Oh no, Eryk. I managed to keep my bowels contained at least. Well, I mean, minutes passed and I finally felt the pressure elevate. I rolled out of bed and dragged the bedding to the floor to try and save the mattress from the urine. My clothes were drenched in sweat. It looked like I had saved the mattress. No wet spots. The cold stone floor also felt very nice on my heated body. I curled into a ball and passed out. No, not in the urine. Oh, Eryk. I woke late in the day with a thirst I had never experienced before. I drank the large canteen, filled it from my space, and drank it again before I was satiated. I stripped and put on clean, dry clothes, then bundled the filthy urine-soaked clothes and blanket into a roll. I would be slightly embarrassed having them washed, but it needed to be done. I thought about that because I was like, you're gonna have these washed, so someone is gonna have to do it for you, and they will know you pissed yourself. I also smelled beyond ripe, and I almost couldn't stand my own smell. It almost matched Castile and the others emerging from the sewers. I sat at the desk as I pondered my life choices. I think I understood what had happened. It was simple when I thought about it. The magic affinity, whatever it had been, was one I had not had. I had an effectual 0 in the attribute, so the essence had made a space for itself on my ether core. Even now, I could feel the change when I used my limited ether manipulation skills. The expansion of my core still felt raw, and it was healing itself with the new addition. I really wanted to know what I had gained by racing to a tablet, but we could only travel in groups when we left the villa, and it would get back to Castile that I had used a tablet. I would have to wait. In the meantime, I definitely needed to get to the baths. I opened the door and eventually convinced Lucian, Linus, and Benito to go to the upper city baths with me. After they got a whiff of me, they kept their distance as we walked. I was looking forward to getting clean once again. Oh, I'm amazed they didn't get a new nickname just for this. Maybe he will when they start cleaning his stuff. Chapter 43. Enemy at the gates. Okay, here we go. Serious time. As we walked to the baths, Linus asked from a safe-smelling distance, "How was your first night in charge, Eryk? Did you have to chase someone into the sewer?" I was walking behind the group so they wouldn't have to smell me. Something like that. I mistook a bedspan for a clothes washing basin. I fabricated a tale similar to one I heard Firth say about one of his trips to a brothel. They started laughing and thankfully dropped the subject. I listened to their tales of their overnight patrol. Nothing too exceptional happened. They stopped 3 break-ins and turned the criminals over to the city guard. The holding cells were over capacity, so the prisoners were tasked with constructing barricades to be used in the city. We arrived at the baths, and I embarrassedly asked for my clothes bundle in a blanket to be washed. The young woman recognized me from when I broke in after returning from my swamp excursion. I thought that it was gonna say the young woman recognized the smell. I was like, she knew it was urine. I was like, no. I pulled her aside to explain why my clothes were filthy. Why? "I'm sorry about this, but my legion mates tossed my clothes and blanket into the pig pen. I couldn't get them clean. An entire silver bonus if you get the smell completely out," I said pleadingly. Her eyes brightened at the incentive, and I noticed she was the only one working. "Where is everyone? Weren't there 3 of you last time I was here?" She nodded. "They left with their families yesterday afternoon. About half the city is gone now. My parents died 2 winters back, and my only other family is in Bardaradian lands." Hey. "So you are alone in the city?" I asked the young woman, curious. She was plain looking, but not unattractive. Why do you immediately go to if she's attractive or not? I guess her age to be close to Rena's, about 19. Rena was her name. Right? About 19. I forgot how old Eryk is. I think he's 20 plus, isn't he? 25? Nah, I don't remember how old he is. I live with my older brother, so who is a guard in the lower city, she said, blushing slightly. She focused on my clothes, scrunching her nose at the smell. I can boil the bundle with lye, white ash, and oil scents. It worked on the last group you had come through here smelling this foul. Great! Can you wash what I am wearing separately as well? I asked, removing my clothes. She didn't even say yes. She seemed uncertain, as she was the only one working and had a lot of piles of laundry to do. I produced 2 silver coins, one for the bath, one for her bonus, and 1 large copper as an additional bonus. Please? I asked, handing her the coins. She nodded, and I did catch her eyes look down for a moment. What, on his dick? I still was not accustomed to the fact that nudity was not a taboo in the Empire. What? She handed me a new bar of soap and a clean scrubber. Unlike the baths in the lower city, everyone got new soap and clean scrubber in these baths. Thank you. What is your name? He's still naked. Leave her alone. It seemed a little absurd to ask her name in my state. Then don't. Karina. Karina? Karina? Is that how you would say it in English? She said shyly, tossing my clothes in a woven basket, trying not to touch the foul-smelling ones. So all of them. Thank you, Karina, I said with a friendly smile, moving to the showers. My companions had already cleaned off and moved into the communal soaking tub. I spent a much longer time scrubbing my skin raw to remove the scent of whatever the Apex magic essence did to me, then settled into the heated pool with the others. Hopefully, I had been successful in removing the odor from my body. My skin was raw from the scrubbing and a bit sensitive to the hot water, but the heat was divine on my sore muscles. The training did not make me sore any longer, but my spasming muscles from consuming the magic affinity essence had done a number on me. My body felt like the first day in the Legion training barracks. I was quite good at hiding my soreness, but settling into the water, I let out an audible sigh. You should just visit the brothels, Eryk. Too much work is pursuing the young bath girls, and then half the time you have to deal with their irate lovers, Lucian advised with a smirk. Yeah, you rubbed yourself red, and I doubt that she wants to deal with the tomato of your bulk, Benito remarked with mirth. She probably prefers a smaller, more handsome package. What the fuck? He motioned to himself. Benito was the shortest man in our company, at about 5'5". He preferred a body shield and a short sword when in formation. Okay, random thanks, I guess. Our young friend has more sense than the both of you, Linus said. Benito, you spent nearly half your silver from the snake at the brothel, and the other half getting cleansed of the crotch crickets. It was still worth it, Benito pouted. For Marsblade, we might not see the end of the week. I prefer my coin spent and my urges satisfied. Benito's reminder of our dire circumstances killed the verbal jousting. My companions left, informing me they were headed 2 buildings down for food, and that I could meet them there. They wished me luck with the young woman. But it was not Karina who came and told me my clothes were ready, but instead the older woman who ran the bathhouse. Oh no. My girls can do better than a muscled brute, she said. I would prefer if you and your legion men avoided my baths altogether. I suppose the enemy is going to sabotage the aqueduct when they arrive, and my baths will be shut down. Until then, Legionnaire, I suggest the lower city baths. Okay. She dropped my 2 wicker laundry baskets at my feet to emphasize that I was not welcome. I assumed she did not like the soldiers for some reason. I dressed and noted that my clothes and blanket now had a strong floral scent. Karina did an excellent job. I decided that if I wanted to take a bath in fancy upper city baths, I would. The mistress of the baths be damned. I met the others at a small cafe-style restaurant. They were eating something akin to a thick taco, and I joined them. I mentioned, life seems too normal for a city that is about to be attacked. Lucian spoke as he ate. The civilians don't care. This city has been passed back and forth a dozen times in the last 100 years. When the fighting starts, they will hide in their basements, come out when it is all over, and resume their lives, no matter who controls the city. It made sense now that the bookstore vendor did not care to flee. I asked, "So they won't loot the city if they conquer it?" Lucian shook his head. "If they did, then it would be hard to find civilians who wanted to settle in a city so close to the border. It is just the soldiers that pay the price in the border expansion wars with the Barbaradians. You could almost call it a war with civility." He laughed at his joke. So funny. "Now, when we fight the orcs of the Boughton Caliphate, that is a bloody war of attrition," Linus added. Benito contributed his knowledge. "We haven't fought the Boughton orcs on the northern peninsula in a century. If we leave them alone, they will keep to their own." Lucian disagreed. "Their supreme cleric has been pushing his people to settle the plains across the ocean to the west of the Telian Empire. Even though the swamps separate our lands there, trust me, there will be war soon." Benito laughed. "When have we ever not seen a war? Been at war? The emperors have been trying to conquer all of Dessia for 2,000 years. Besides, the Essenhem elves blocked the land passage to the peninsula." "You're daft, Benito. Have you ever heard of a boat? How do you think they settled the western plains?" Lucian spoke in disbelief. I had not spoken much with Benito, but he did come off as a bit of an idiot. Linus focused on me with a knowing smile and asked, "So, Eryk, no luck with the young bath attendant?" I rolled my eyes at the question. The mistress of the baths warned me off. The entire group started laughing. Lucian so hard his face turned red. Linus consoled me. "Well, this is the upper city, Eryk. She probably only works in the baths to land herself a wealthy patron. We are just men who swing big swords." Lucian laughed, stood, and slapped me on the back. "Some bigger than others." Let's get back to the villa before Castile sends out a search party. We had eaten enough to avoid Lysander's dinner tonight. My overnight patrol remained the same, but the night got interesting when a fire was set in one of the warehouses on our street. The first story of every building in the city was made from stone and mortar. The second and sometimes third floors were wood. The warehouse that was burning could not be saved, and the fire brigade was focused on just containing it and preventing it from spreading to other buildings. I ordered my men. "Keep an eye out in case this was set as a distraction. Keep in the center of the road and do not watch the fire burn." Maybe I was being paranoid, but something felt off. I moved us towards the city's outer walls so we wouldn't be in the path of the smoke. Brutus felt it too. "Seems awfully convenient to have the warehouse burned down," he said as the flames reached higher and higher. The fire would easily be seen from anywhere in the city. Two loud, shrill whistles rang out from a few streets away. That was a signal the Legion used to alert others that the enemy was near. Faint sounds of combat could be heard even with the fire, and men trying to contain it nearby. Everyone looked to me for direction. "Form up tight behind me. Fast jog," I ordered as I broke into a jog, heading toward the sounds of combat. We ran to the main thoroughfare and toward the upper city. We ran into the fighting just 3 streets down. It was one of our patrols. The legionnaires engaged with a dozen men. "Full run!" I screamed as I bolted forward, ignoring the formation. My scream drew the attention of the attackers, giving our men some relief. On quick inspection, one of our men was already down, and 2 looked severely injured. The Legion men had their backs to the building, protecting the downed man. A spear flashed from over my shoulder, and then 2 more. 2 of the 3 spears connected with the assailants, one in the chest and the other in the hip. Both targets collapsed and screeched in pain. With a spear in them, they were effectively out of combat. The odds were much better now. 7 of us versus 11 of them. Well, 7. Okay, yeah. I had miscounted initially. There were actually 13 enemies. Okay, now it's worse. I didn't throw my own spear. Instead, I preferred to charge with it. My target was one of the attackers closest to our defending men. He was distracted, and I took him through the side, losing my spear 2 feet into his oblique and existing out his belly. I released the spear, unable to retrieve it, and pulled my short sword, deflecting a slash from another man. My men reached us, and in the dim light of the street lamps, the carnage of battle waged. My focus was to not let any of the enemy behind me. I was able to identify the 4 men we were trying to rescue: Orson, Lurkin, Blaze, and Chaos. Or Lurkin has to make it. Blaze was the man who was down, holding his neck while blood oozed from the wound. I didn't think as I yelled, "Form a wall around Blaze. Give me time to get to him." As if by magic, the 6 legionnaires pushed the attackers back, and I was able to kneel by Blaze and get him both the lesser potions from my sword space into his mouth. The blood was slowing, but I didn't have time to help further, as the effort to create space for me had gotten Brutus injured. It looked like Lurkin had a serious thigh wound, and Orson was fighting one-handed. I joined the fray, and it turned into an exchange of blades. Another squad of men was running toward us, led by Firth. I could hear not what he was screaming, but the remaining attackers ran. I returned to Blaze and checked on him. He was unconscious but breathing, and the neck wound looked completely closed. The company medic, Linus, knelt with me. "I already used all our potions. What do you have left?" "Just the 2 healing salves, only good for closing surface wounds." I produced them and handed them to him. It wasn't long before Firth came back from his chase. Firth addressed Orson. "How many attacked you?" 13. Firth did a mental count, then spoke. 5 got away then. He inspected each of the men as I helped Linus with our wounded. When he was done, he sounded irritated. Only 5 of the 8 were Butteradian soldiers by their clothing and calloused hands. The rest were probably insurgents assisting them from inside the city. Orson ordered the enemy to be moved together in a pile, and then we returned to the villa. The news was not good. Another squad had been attacked, and Flans had been killed. The number of injuries also put a huge dent in our potion stock. Castile, Delmar, Constantine, and Adrian had not returned yet either. They had tasked themselves with hunting down the air mage. Hello, Shane! Congratulations on getting first, and welcome back from the summer break. I hope you had a nice one. Even though it was hot as fuck. But it was also a nice little rainy season. I enjoyed that. A break from the sun. Good to be back. Me too. Happy to be here again. Toward morning, our leaders returned. They had obviously battled, based on the state of their equipment. Blood cuts and filth covered their clothes. As one of the squad leaders, I was called to report on the events of the night. No one was happy about losing Flans. Castile did not blame anyone, though. We were almost out of potions, which was extremely bad, as Durandus had been the only healing mage in the city. Adrian told us about their night. We found the air mage. He got away and collapsed the aqueduct just outside the city. We managed to kill the 7 soldiers with him, but he fled into the country outside the walls. If no one else fled the city, our best guess is that around 10 Butteradian infiltrators are left in the city now. Hopefully, the air mage does not return. Castile made some rapid decisions. We will combine patrols for the night watch. Day patrols are cancelled. Lurkin can resume his duties. Yes! I want rotations to the city wall, Adrian. The enemy should be arriving soon, and I want to know when. Send a message to Gregor and let him know I want to meet him here at the villa. Linus, take Eryk and see if any apothecaries are still functioning in the city. Then get what supplies you can. Get all the potions to Eryk's storage before you leave, and send me an account later. Castile left to talk with Delmar and Adrian. I went with Linus and we scoped out the city's apothecaries, but all had fled the impending siege of the city. Linus broke into one shop and was disappointed to find only some red aloe that could be used as a topical disinfectant. We returned to the villa and I gladly went to my room to rest. There was some relief to see Lurkin cooking merrily and whistling to himself. I secured my room and stripped off my armor. I was shocked to find that I had taken a shallow cut to my bicep in the fighting hours ago. The blood was dried, but I did not remember receiving it during the fight. I closed my eyes and tried to replay the fight in my head. There! In an exchange, I remembered that I had deflected a swing with my buckler and felt a sting, but I did not think the blade reached flesh then. I felt better remembering how I received the injury and thought about how I could avoid the same mistake in the future. I cleaned the injury and used the red aloe we had just procured. It was going to leave a nice scar. I did not study the healing spell form. Instead, I decided to get as much sleep as possible. A knock woke me for dinner, and I gladly went to eat with everyone else. Even with the improved fare, the mood was still somber with the loss of lands, and it only got darker when a city guardsman rushed into the villa to alert us that the lead elements of the Barbaradian army were visible from the walls. Here we go. Chapter 44. Firth's Brilliant Plan. I was seated between Brutus and Willie when the city guards announced the enemy had arrived. Brutus murmured, "Damn, they must have run here to arrive so quickly." Willie gave his opinion. "No, it's probably just the lead elements. 2 days and mounted men could have easily made 100 miles on the road." "As long as the horses can't fly, it won't matter," Brutus suggested. "The regulars can hold the walls. It will all come down to how many mages they brought with them. Eryk, you weren't here when Castile and Gregor were arguing over the city's defense. The Redus may have been a greedy fool, but he was a powerful wizard. From the shouts raining down the stairs, I'm guessing things are not pretty." "Don't worry, Brutus," Willie said while shoveling food into his face. "I'm sure Castile has a plan to keep most of us alive." I disliked that Willie said, "most of us." During the meal, Castile and Adrian left for the lower city to further strategize with Gregor and the army's general. After dinner, my patrol was emerged with Firth's to give us 8 legionnaires. Firth took the lead, so I was relieved from having to think too much. We did not talk much as we walked. I was slightly caught off guard when Firth did not lead us to our assigned patrol route of Venice Street and Vesta Street. Instead, we went into the lower city, and Firth guided us into an alley. Well, here comes the great plan, I guess. I feel like this is gonna go not that good. He spoke softly to the 7 of us. "I know where some Barbaradian's collaborators are. I know you all want to get some revenge for Flan's death. This is bad." Murmurs of agreement answered him. "Good. We will go in and search the house for the unaccounted for Barbaradian soldiers." Nods of agreement and excitement swelled among our number. Firth added, "Hold your blade unless attacked. No killing unless necessary." Oof. We left our spears in the alley. First plan was simple. 4 of us would rush to the 2nd floor, and 4 of us would search the 1st floor and then the basement. I was part of the 2nd group with Brutus, Matteo, and Willie. We walked out into the street, leaving our spears in the alley. I don't like that, as they would be difficult to use in a house. I know, but leaving them out in the street is... Firth walked 4 houses down and indicated a door. The houses in this section of the city were well maintained, but not opulent like our patrol routes in the upper city. Brutus and Matteo rushed the door together and shouldered it open, storming into the dark house. Those of us who had glowstones held them for light. Footsteps and curses could be heard on the 2nd floor. Brutus went right and Matteo left as they started their search of the 1st floor. I found the basement door while Firth and the others thundered up the stairs. The basement was locked, and as I shouldered it, I could hear harsh whispering below. We had struck gold, and I was at the forefront again. I heard fighting on the 2nd floor as I struggled with my own door. Matteo arrived and heaved to no success. He pulled a hand axe from his belt and began hacking around the hinges, taking chunks of the door with each swing. Willie and Brutus arrived as well, the 1st floor search complete. I whispered loudly, "Definitely some people down there. Last time there were 7, and we took them unaware. They know we're coming this time." I looked at our small bucklers and wished we had taken the medium shields for the patrol, but there was no time for wishing. The 2 hinges were free of the frame, and we removed the door from the other side. A quarrel bolt thudded into Willie's stomach as the door cleared the opening. Brutus did not hesitate to go first, tossing his glowstone and racing down the stairs after the man who shot Willie. Matteo was behind him, and I quickly kneeled next to Willie. It looked like a straight gut shot. Don't move, Willie. Just lay down. You don't want the head shifting around inside of you. After the fighting, we can get the last healing potion from Linus and get you patched up. He nodded and shifted to get comfortable. I focused on the fight, hurrying down into the basement. A man with a crossbow was dead at the bottom, with a slash from shoulder to hip, and a stab wound in his heart. The wall was to my left, so the entire basement was open to my right. Brutus was cutting down another man, and Matteo was engaged with two more. A fourth man on the far side desperately tried to load a crossbow, but didn't seem to know how. I rushed the crossbow man, and one of Matteo's opponents broke to stop me. It caused the man a slash from Matteo on his shoulder, but that was all the help he could give as his other opponent pressed him. The man blocked my path, and his shoulder wound was not serious. I needed to get to the crossbow man quickly, or one of us was going to take a bolt. 2 exchanges with the man blocking me told me I was not getting by. A bull rushed him, taking him by surprise as I drove his sword up and shoved my shield into his face. I had assumed he would fall back and give me a path to the ranged threat, but the asshole grabbed my clothes and pulled me to the ground with him. I released my short sword and went to my belt for my knife. He had the same thought, and we tried to hold each other at bay with one hand while trying to stab the other with a dagger. I was stronger and had the body position. The fear in his wide brown eyes as my blade pressed into his throat shook me a little. I was killing without hesitation. Again. A man doesn't die when you cut his throat. He bleeds and drowns in his own blood. I had to hold him down or risk his vengeance with the blade. I held him at bay as he choked and sprayed blood into my face, fighting until his end. During my struggle, Brutus had finished his man and stabbed the crossbowman in the chest. He hit a lung, and the crossbowman was foaming at the mouth as he struggled to breathe, desperately holding the wound closed to prevent blood loss. Matteo's opponent was injured and now outnumbered. My own foe was dead. I stood, and all 3 of us faced the last man, who slowly backed toward the stairs. A twang of a crossbow and then a thud to my back spun me around hard. Matteo swore. Fuck! He must have had a healing potion. Oh my god. I went down hard on my knees, a bolt tip protruding from my chest a few inches. It had struck my right shoulder and passed partway through me. So now who are they going to use the healing potion on? It's going to be Eryk or Willie? I quickly got my senses though. I told myself I had endured pain this intense before. My right arm was useless, since the bolt had ripped through the muscles in its path through my body. Matteo had returned and was ending the man who had shot me, and Brutus was handling the man close to the stairs. We won. I could rest. I touched the tip of the bolt in slight disbelief and shock. My first thought was it was sharp. My second thought was, why did he have to shoot me? There were 2 other targets. In a daze, I turned to ask him, but Matteo had killed him with a blade under his shin and into his brain. Matteo saw me approach and explained, I'm looking to see if he has any more healing potions on him, Eryk. He has to. He frantically searched the man's pockets, but was obviously getting frustrated. I knew I was in a mild shock, but my mind was crystal clear. He doesn't have any potions on him, Matteo. He was a healing mage. There are no vials around his body. He didn't take a potion to heal himself. He used magic. Matteo swore and stood, seeing the truth of my words. Brutus joined us and inspected the bolt through my body. I ordered him, go and find Linus in the city. Willie needs that healing potion. He should also have a healing salve. We can pull this out and close my wounds with it on both ends. He hesitated, but I said angrily, Go, Brutus! He nodded, turned, and ran up the stairs. Matteo, go upstairs and help Firth and the others. It sounds like they're still fighting up there. I will be fine down here. I sat on a stool next to the dead healing mage to prove my point. He rushed up the stairs a few heartbeats later. My only thought was, healing mage. I only heard muted sounds from the 2 floors up. I pulled my collector out of my space, painfully bent over, and placed the disc on his body. It was slumped against the wall, so the disc was angled as I activated it. The familiar blue mist left his body and coalesced into a sphere. I marveled at the white misty pearl with swirls of gold and silver. It was beautiful. Then it rolled off the collector and across the room. Shit. Castile had told me that would happen. I was too injured to get the body prone, though. My luck was terrible. The sphere rolled right between two crates filled with coal. I walked cautiously and stiffly, as too much range of motion really fucking hurt. The shock from the injury and my training had killed the pain momentarily, but it was magnifying with time. I found a broom and used the handle to tease the ball out from between the crates. I held it in front of me and admired it, getting lost in its soft glow and the movement of the metallic swirls. The allure of the power it contained was muted slightly by how I had obtained it. So now he cares a little bit. The wooden stairs shook as someone descended, and I sent the apexes and the collector to my space. I could have gotten more from the warriors if I had not dawdled. It was Firth coming down the stairs, and he voiced his anger on seeing my injury. Bloody harpy's tits, 3 injured. Castillo's going to be pissed. Well, I sent Brutus to find Linus, I said with effort. Good man. He looked around the room. Well, that makes 8 total. This might have been the last of them in the city, so there's that. Didn't expect to find them here, though. I just hoped to get information on where they were hiding from the collaborators. He shook his head. Let's get you upstairs with Willie and Lysander. Lysander got stabbed in the thigh, all the way to the bone. He can't walk. I hobbled up the stairs to find Wiley lying at the kitchen table, still with a bolt sticking out of his stomach, and Lysander sitting with a bloody wrap around his leg. Willie chuckled. Come to join the infirmary? I gingerly pulled a stool and sat carefully. Yep, looks like no one died. Should we wrestle for the last healing potion? Lysander scoffed, and Willie clucked with mirth. The way our night has gone, it was probably already used on someone else. Linus came rushing in a few minutes later and assessed all of us, dealing with Willie first. He caught the shaft, pulled it through, and then administered the last healing potion to him. He came to me next. Eryk, that was a broadhead quarrel. It missed the bone, but your muscles are cut to shit, and the bleeding might drain into the chest cavity. If you have trouble breathing, let someone know immediately. You need a full healing potion for the extent of the damage. If we use the lesser potion, then the muscles might not knit themselves back together properly. He turned to Lysander. You will not be doing any cooking on that leg. He smiled at the terrible cook. One of the lesser potions should heal you up, as just one muscle was sliced. Castile usually keeps one on her person. If not, we will find one in the city. It was almost 2 hours before Castile, Adrian, Delmar, and Constantine arrived. They had been hunting for the very men we found. Castile was beyond angry at Firth. She knew the healing mage was still in the city, and had planned to capture and use him during the siege to heal our men. Now he was dead. I did learn that 2 hours was too long to wait to harvest essence, as Castile did not even try. After Castile yelled at Firth in a lengthy tirade, she said to everyone present, I'm going to go beat some potions out of Gregor. Get these 2 to the villa in a cart. As dawn broke, I was seated in a wagon pulled by a mule. Lysander was sleeping in the wagon bed and somehow snoring. Even with the bumpy ride and his wound, he was still able to sleep. Civilians braved the morning streets to stare in awe at me while I sat on the tail of the wagon. I still had a friggin' crossbow bolt through my shoulder. Chapter 45. Essence and Ignorance. Oh, we have a lot of that. Both, actually. As we reached the villa, Constantine used a fine saw to slowly cut off the rear of the bolt. Holy fuck, that must hurt so much. Oh, I was because of the vibrations when the saw, like, every time. Oh. I was extremely uncomfortable waiting for Castile's return. My breathing became strained and the wound tightened, making any movement painful. I understood they wanted to wait to remove the bolt until they had a healing potion, but it wasn't very pleasant, and being stoic was taking a lot of mental energy. I awaited Castile, but it was Linus who returned with the healing potions. For the better, I would say. Lysander was treated first. It was a quick rub into the open wound, and then he drank the remainder. My situation was a bit more complex. Linus examined the bolt, now cut off at the back. We're just going to pull in the rest of the way through, Eryk. The blood has coagulated a lot in the 3 hours, so it is going to be painful. Take this and drink it later. He handed me a cure poison potion. Bite down on this, he said, giving me a thick piece of leather. You don't want to break your teeth when you clench them. Was the bolt poisoned? I asked, placing the lead strip in my mouth. The healing potion is going to focus on the tissue and correct the damaged muscle. Normally, it would also handle any infection, but that bolt has been inside you for hours. So after I pull it, we will pour the potion into the wound rather than having you drink the cure poison potion. The cure potion is just insurance, as the healing potion may not have enough ether left to cleanse your blood after it heals the wound, he explained. A potion works its way out from where it is administered until it expends its etheric stores. Usually, drinking it is fine if the wound is not too severe, or you could take 2 potions. We only have 1. He held it up. He didn't wait any longer and just reached out and pulled. My body held the shaft for a moment before it was pulled out. I grunted, holding in a scream, as that was what a stoic man should do. Who cares? If I had been alone, I would have definitely screamed. Linus worked quickly, removing my armor and clothes as my wound oozed dark blood. He quickly cleaned the area with water and red aloe, then carefully opened the hole wider with tongs to ensure no potion was lost. That hurt more than anything so far, and I let out a cathartic scream, forgetting all about being manly. Good job, Eryk. He carefully poured the entire vial into the wound, and I felt the warmth spread and the muscles heat as the magic worked to repair them. After a few minutes, Linus inspected the work. You look good. 3 inches lower and you would have been in trouble. Let's check mobility. I went through ranges of motion. The shoulder was tight, but I had no issues. Linus reminded me to drink the potion of cure poison in an hour or so, and left. I locked my door again. I lay on my bed with the griffin pillow under my head, rolling what I thought was an Apex healing essence in my hand. I was only hesitant to consume it because of the nasty surprise the last Apex essence had given me. What if my theory was wrong, and the pain was not from a new magic affinity establishing itself on my core? Could I go through that again? Also, I was not even sure this was a healing essence. It just came from a mage that could heal. A knock at my door disturbed me, and I sent the pillow and essence to my storage. I opened the door to find Firth. You know, Eryk, if you keep locking yourself in here, people are going to create rumors about what you're doing here alone. I shrugged. Sleeping without having to listen to a symphony of snoring is worth it. Firth grew serious. Just wanted to apologize for the patrol. I was not expecting the Barteradians to be there. He handed me a satchel. Some food, and you have off from tonight's patrol. You're on the wall at first light, though. Get some rest. He turned and left. I realized it was midday, and Firth had brought me lunch. There was even a pouch of griffin jerky in there. Oh, we had been told it was all gone. I resumed my previous position with the essence in my hand and munched on the jerky. When the jerky was gone, I popped the essence in next, committing to it. I braced myself for another unpleasant experience. Instead, as the essence dissolved in my mouth, my skin cooled and I got goosebumps. The coolness spread to my breath and I shivered. Then the feeling disappeared. That was it. Much more manageable than my last affinity essence. I was fairly certain it had been a healing essence. I couldn't differentiate the affinities on my core, but it definitely added to something already there. That also confirmed that I had awoken a new essence with the brown Apex essence. I immediately pulled the healing spell form book out of my storage, along with the glowstone. The light from the covered windows was not enough to see clearly. I had studied this book for almost 2 weeks and had been frustrated. As I reread and studied the forms in the book, I felt it was possible. I put the book down and reviewed everything that Damien had taught me when I imprinted my dimensional space. I miss Damien. Then I returned to the reading, making sure I was being careful about my intent and picturing the simplified spell forms from the book. A knock and Matteo's voice came from the door. Eryk, dinner is served. I heard him walk away and was grateful he had alerted me. I had been studying for hours and my eyes were dry and aching from the effort. I cleaned the room and joined everyone. Felix blurted, "Look, he's absolutely glowing." Panic welled up. Maybe my change was noticeable. Instead, it was just a joke about my large amount of alone time in my room. Wow. Matteo added as I sat beside him. He does smell funny. Does he smell funny to you, Pavel? Pavel was on my other side and took a big sniff. Pavel considered his words. I do detect a faint scent of perfume. Everyone laughed, but Pavel had a good nose. The perfume from my bed's prior occupant tended to linger for a while on my clothes. That was the end of the joking as Adrian started to assign the night patrols. As Firth had told me, I had the night off. No one seemed upset about it. I returned to my room as they geared up. Securing myself once again, I resumed my studies. It was late into the night, and I kept weighing whether or not I should get some sleep. Then it happened. I was blurry-eyed and exhausted, but my need to learn to heal after being shot in the back was too much. It felt like all the pressure I had been trying to force into me had just been released. The dam had broken, and it was now satisfactorily filled. I knew I had a new spell form, and it felt like I had correctly imprinted what I wanted to on my other core. That's crazy. By the way, it's crazy. And how, I'm also like, okay, how are you gonna explain that? Like, because imagine he already had this, and then he got shot with this bolt, and then it's like, yeah, I totally found a healing potion. It's like, bro, they seem to know exactly how many you have on you at all times. Like, how are you gonna hide this? Or is he gonna be like, yeah, I can heal now? Like, I don't think so. I took out a knife and cut a thin line on my forearm. Okay. I focused on the wound and my other core together and pushed my other into it. The thin line of red remained, but the flesh underneath pulled together. I wiped the blood away and found just smooth skin. Well, hairy skin, but no cut, no scar. I became a little masochistic. Dude, Eryk is just getting better and better, isn't he? Like, what the fuck? I became a little masochistic as I cut and burned myself a few times to get comfortable with the healing ability. Closing a minor cut took less than a relative point of ether, while a deep cut took maybe an entire point of ether. I was not stupid enough to damage muscle tissue or organs during my impromptu testing. When I finally fell asleep, I felt much better about my chances of surviving my Legion tenure. Tenure? Oops. Hiccup. At first light, Constantine banged on my door. Eryk, you've slept enough. Wall duty after breakfast. I scrambled to clean up, feeling like an idiot for not storing the book last night. I had gotten so caught up in my testing that it had remained on the bed. I sent it with the pillow to my space and dressed. I took a short sword and the bow I had requisitioned with me as I made my way to breakfast. I did not need to carry the arrows, as there were bins of arrows on the wall. Everyone was tired from the patrol and was mechanically eating. It was not long before 5 of us headed to the wall. Constantine was in the lead, with Pavel, Regis, Malcolm, and myself following. I walked next to Constantine and asked, "How were the patrols last night?" The upper city was fairly tame. The city guard had a number of issues in the lower city, he said calmly as we walked. There were a lot of citizens about, much more than normal. I asked, "Why is everyone so active so early today? Is that a sign of trouble to come?" Constantine nodded. Nice observation, but no. There's a curfew from midday to sunrise. Everyone needs to get everything done in the morning, especially get water, because there are only 4 wells in the city. Be glad we are not tasked with guarding them as the civilians draw water. The wells can barely support the population. We reached the wall and climbed the stairs to our section. Why only Why only theme? What happened? Why only 5 of us today? Constantine smirked. Eryk, this is what happens when you spend all day in your room. We're only on the wall for show and to give the regulars a spell during the heat of the day. 5 men are enough to do that. If there is an attack, we will group at the Legion Hall with Gregor's men. From there, we'll listen to the mages on where to go. Fortunately, today was cloudy as we reached the top of the wall, and the warning had a cool, humid air to it. I was astounded at what I witnessed in the distance, beyond the abandoned farms and buildings outside the walls below us. A pair of mounted griffins flew over an army. Shit, was all I managed to say. Hundreds of Barteradians were setting up a sprawling camp. The others laughed, and Constantine gave his feedback. The griffins are not the true threat, if that's what you're thinking, Eryk. Any flying mounts is useless on the ground, and almost any strike on their wings brings them to the ground like rain in a storm. They are used as scouts and to relay messages when magic arrays prevent magic sending. Still, it would be amazing to ride one, I said, watching them glide in the skies just over a mile away. Will we have a little griffin baby? Constantine grunted in what sounded like disappointment at my fascination. Pavel said, You're too fat. All those riders are women and weigh less than half your beefy frame. It's true, Constantine affirmed. Griffins may be large, but they tire quickly with a heavy rider. Oh. Those riders are most likely slender elves and almost certainly women. That has been my experience anyway. Well, maybe we give it to Rena. Is it the same for the Empire? Do only women ride griffins here? I inquired. Constantine seemed in a talkative mood. Griffins are kept as pets for hunting. Some people do fly them. The Emperor doesn't like them. He has a cohort of drakes ridden by the Draconic Legion. How do you get selected for that job as legionnaire? I asked jokingly. Constantine grunted. They are more for show than combat. Fancy suited legionnaires to fly over parades or march in them. Taming a drake isn't as hard as a true dragon, but half the men in training die to their own mounts. Ooh. That's not true, Regis voiced loudly. Constantine shrugged and Regis continued. I was almost selected for training. I had the attribute requirements on the tablet reading. I was just afraid of heights back then. You still are, Pavel teased. What are the stat requirements to train as a member of the Draconic Legion? I moved closer to the tower for shade as the clouds evaporated. Besides the normal potential, they look for 40-70 in quickness, dexterity, and coordination. They also want a high empathy score, as it helps in dealing with animals. My empathy is 37, and its potential is even higher, Regis boasted. I thought this might be a good time to get answers on what attribute scores were good. What does it even mean? I never saw a tablet reader before coming to the Empire. Why is it based on 100, for instance? Can you pass 100 in potential? Constantine stood. Damn, Eryk, what kind of backyard village did you come from? I didn't answer. He scoffed. I can forgive your ignorance, I guess. All Empire tablets are calibrated for humans. The epitome of human ability is determined at birth. If you are perfect in an attribute, they say your potential in that attribute will show as 100 on the tablet's potential. Never seen it all my years, though. Pavel butted in. They say the Emperor has attributes over 100 from consuming Apex essences. I don't remember what Eryk has, but he does have over 100 in some things, right? Constantine looked annoyed. With how many essences he consumed, it's not surprising. He looked at me. The other races, if they use a tablet calibrated for a human, can have potentials over 100. I have seen a male elf evaluated with 122 in ether shaping, and a female orc with endurance and constitution over 110. Maybe he didn't have 100. I feel like he had at least 90 in like 3 things? Pavel, Regis, and Malcolm were also listening intently. I asked, so what is average for a human, in terms of the attribute and potential? Constantine grunted. There is too much variation to say definitive values. I would guess that most men physical values are in the 20s, with potential in the 40s and 50s. But if you stop training, they are just as likely to go down unless you fortify them with an essence. Oops. All of us were silent. Something flashed in Reggie's eyes. He started to speak, but Constantine cut him off. Exactly, Regis. That is why Castile divides up the essences the way she does after talking with Adrian and Damar. She tries to spread the essences around to fortify the company's scores. His smile grew. It is why we are one of the strongest of all the mage companies in the Legion. There was a long pause of disbelief before Pavel asked, "Why is this not common knowledge?" Constantine laughed. "It is to those who can afford essences. Also, the more people know, the more valuable essences become. I am sure in some lands, it might be common knowledge. In other lands, they like to keep people ignorant." He looked pointedly at me. As we walked back to the villa after we were relieved, I found I had a lot more respect for Castile and our commanders. And I realized I didn't fucking follow. I was distracted. What happened? There's too much variation, say, definitive values. I would guess that most net physical values are in the 20s, with potentially 40s and 50s. But if you stop training, they are just as likely to go down unless you fortify them with essence. Aha! Wait, so your values go down? What? Okay. So your score goes down if you don't train or consume essences. The fuck? Okay. I thought they were permanent. Like, this is who you are now, you know? Hello, tag. Alright then. Why? Why? Yes. So. And that was today's chapters, correct? Should be 46. Yeah. And the first book I checked today has 58 chapters, so we're almost done with the first book. And then we have the second book ready for reading as well. I already have the PDF and everything sent to me. I'm super ready. That will be it for today's stream. I know I only do the readings now, which I used to only do back then as well, I guess. No kitties, because I want to take it a little bit slow start this time around. So like I want to get into the routine more, see how much I can actually do, not do too much. Because I am very good at doing too much. So I was like, I will just want to chill since I just came back. Oh, I know, yeah. Thank you. And I also want to see how I want to do the. Hello, Dylan. Welcome. I also. Since I uploaded the League of Legends lore video yesterday, I also want to see when I have time to make those, since those are completely off stream. I'm thinking I will try on Wednesdays, because then I don't stream. But sometimes I can't do it on Wednesdays, and it will probably not be a, like, every Wednesday a new lore video will drop. Even if it's, that one was only 5 minutes, like, that shit took time. All those fucking subtitles. Oh my god. And then I had to separately, then I had to re-record when I was there as well. So I had to read it twice because I didn't know how to do it. But anyway, talking about shit. When are we getting some more small lore though? I mean, ask and you shall probably receive. I'll make a small lore video. What do I ask? No, I would say that I'm mostly open about the majority of things. When I get a question, I usually always answer. And I did open the stupid fucking spotlight, right? I did do that stupid fucking, what was it, the Google Docs or whatever. But I'm like, why would someone use that? I don't know why I did that. That was stupid. Anyway, that's still there. The what? Yeah, right? Exactly. I made it was a while ago. Let me see. It's still Google Forms. I made a Google Forms. But people were allowed where they could ask questions anonymously. It's in the Discord, in the listen up. But it was like in March. It was a while ago. But I made that at some point. But I'm like, why? Why did I do this? It came right at the end. You did. You did indeed. But you made it! Yay! You still made it though. Happy to see you nonetheless. And we will be here tomorrow again. Yeah. I got to say hello. And I have the last of my water. I haven't started it yet. They will start now. Thank you so much for coming to the stream. I appreciate seeing all of you again. It's nice to be back. Back for real. Feel free to go follow me on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and join the Discord server. And please feel free to watch the new video I made. New format, new stuff, but it's just me reading lore as always. It's about Aatrox, League of Legends lore. Great to have our princess back. Thank you, that's cute. Yes. Thank you. And I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and I will see you again tomorrow. Hey